In the summer of 1944, the Mediterranean air was a shimmering haze of heat and salt. On a small airfield in Corsica, a man stood by his Lockheed P-38 Lightning, a plane that looked like a silver fork designed to stab the sky. He was 54 years old far, too old to be a combat pilot, and his body was a map of scars from previous crashes. His name was Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. To the world, he was the famous author of The Little Prince. To the Free French Air Force, he was a stubborn legend who refused to stay on the ground while his country was occupied. "Antoine, you can barely climb into the cockpit without help," his commander had told him. "Your heart is tired. Stay and write." But Saint-Exupéry had looked at the map of France. "I cannot speak if I do not share the suffering," he replied. "I must be a witness." On July 31st, at 8:45 a.m., he took off for his 10th reconnaissance mission. His objective, to photograph German troop movements near Lyon. He carried no weapons, only high-powered cameras. He flew alone, high above the clouds, in a world of absolute silence that he had always described as the neighborhood of the stars. He never returned. For decades, the disappearance of the pilot prince was one of the great mysteries of the war. Some thought he had been shot down. Others whispered that he had simply flown higher and higher until he ran out of oxygen, choosing to disappear into the blue he loved so much. Then, in 1998, a fisherman off the coast of Marseille pulled up his net. Among the fish and the seaweed was a glint of silver. It was a heavy ID bracelet, pitted by decades of salt water. It bore two names, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry and Consuelo, the wife he had left behind. A few years later, the wreckage of his silver plane was found on the seabed. There were no bullet holes in the engine. It seemed he had simply dived into the sea, a silent exit for a man who had spent his life searching for meaning in the wind, the sand, and the stars. The war took many things, but it couldn't take the words he left behind. In his final letter, written the day before he vanished, he wrote, "If I am shot down, I shall regret nothing. I was made to be a gardener." He didn't die as a soldier. He died as a scout, looking for a way home for his people. And like the little prince in his book, he left his shell behind on the shore, returning to the sky that had always been his true home.